All our work is done through our hands. We're dexterous, that's what we do, And if you're able to monitor how your hands move really well, monitor the grip strength, how much force you're applying to objects, that unlocks so much value.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Touch My Clock. Today is a really exciting day because I'm sitting here with a good friend of mine, and this is a project we're going to talk about that is really quite special. And I'm not special in the sense of this is an independent watchmaker that's going to release a slight alteration to a movement. We're talking here about someone that is creating an entirely new movement altogether. And I'm not specifically talking about horology and watchmaking. Today I'm with Jack and we're going to talk about Fether Labs.
So Fether Labs is a spin-out company from Imperial College London, and we make wristbands to control any device using hand gestures. Now, what makes us unique is that back at Imperial 3 years ago, we designed and patented multiple times these new types of sensors that allows you to create new gestures, custom gestures very fast, but also allows you to monitor grip strength.
In the market currently, we're seeing a lot of bracelets using EMG technology or just appearing to use EMG technology. Can you explain what the difference is between, and I love this name, MIDAS, and what others are providing?
Yeah. So EMG, which is electromyography, is using two electrodes across the skin, across a muscle, an area of the skin where there's muscle. And as you contract the muscle, there is an increasing conductance across those two electrodes. And so there's effectively a small electrical signal that's created. So if I was to put an electrode here and an electrode here, I was to tense my forearm, you get a spike. The big challenge with that, right, in the context of making a wristband is that the further you go down the forearm, there's less and less muscle. And so the signal becomes smaller and smaller.
Okay.
And so what we were trying to work on is like, okay, if EMG is so tough to work with, how about we try and create a new sensor that is actually designed for the wrist? And so what you notice, if you strip back your skin, there is a really interesting network of tendons going through your carpal tunnel here. And a bit like a pulley system where there is, for the thumb, there is a tendon going in. If it gets pulled, my thumb goes up, and then if it's released, and on the other side, this gets pulled, my thumb goes inwards. And it's the same thing for all the fingers. And so this interesting network here, if you could monitor how each tendon moved, you can then extrapolate how your fingers moved using some form of algorithms, right? And so what we did is that my background is in ultrasound therapy and ultrasound transducer design, as well as my co-founders. We use some of the latest technologies there, and it's a lot of the materials, and kind of grabbed a few ideas and made a new type of sensor that was perfectly designed to monitor how your tendon's moving underneath your skin.
The relation between horology and what you're working on at the moment, because even taking one of these, I'm sure that our viewers will know that this is I'll call it, it's a pretty scary looking prototype. But at the back of it, you can see that there's a NATO strap. So inherently, I'm assuming that you must have had some kind of interest in watchmaking or horology that helped you develop this bracelet as well, technology apart.
Of course, you have to leverage, more than 100 years of R&D from, all these companies around the world. And the NATO strap, first off, they're easy to come by. And also, if you look at the links, it looks like there's increments around 6 millimeters here after years of tweaking design, before it probably started off as, 1 centimeter to 2 centimeter increments, and then you found out 6 millimeters probably the right one. So, all the little fine details in watch straps, you really need to look at it. And I've spent so many hours just looking at buckles and, the tolerances, and what tolerance gives you the right amount of resistance when you feed it through. Do you want it really loose, or do you want it to feel through and feel the grain of the nylon strap going through it? Those little details are the things that we really obsess about. The first bit was obviously making the sensor, trying to get the right signal, the highest quality signal out of it, and perfectly tuning it for the wrist. That's why you have designs like this where, this is all about the sensor. It's not about the watch itself, right? This is really important to be really, really fast to iterate, and that's why we use nylon straps that you could buy on, eBay or Amazon. We're using these components that, off the shelf, in some form of custom PCBs and 3D printed brackets. But this is like the most important bit, and this is where 80% of the value is created. Once you build a new sensor, you've also got to build everything around it, around the sensor.
Right.
So that's from the electronics. So how does the computer receive the information to the electronics? How do you condition the signal, and how do you compute it? So what kind of algorithms you use, and how do you send it off to the device you want to control? Every single piece of the stack has to be built around the sensor. And so this is why we go onto bands like this. Even though this is bigger, it is more sophisticated than this, where how we control the signal is a lot better. We still leave the compute separated, kind of blown up. Once you got something like this that works really well, then it's about how do you slowly shrink it down and keep compressing the design until you get to something that eventually would look like this, right? Every time you shrink it down, you're creating new problems and you need to solve. It's a bit like a waterbed. You made the strap thinner. Okay, how does that affect weight distribution?
Yeah.
And how does that weight distribution then affect the quality of the sensors signals? And so there's all these interesting challenges that keep appearing. So this is actually my favorite prototype, because this is the one that was the first that was fully Bluetooth, fully had its own battery, etc. That you could wear on the wrist. But what I like about this is that it looks like, the Iron Man film. You went back to the cave, but then, you have something like this, which, it doesn't look much of a difference, but, this is like more than a 50% volume decrease. And, and we had to redesign the electronics completely inside. And then eventually you go to this, where it's about, okay, let's shrink it even further down, and to the point where it's like the only constraint here is the battery. Once we shrink down the battery, it will look like a band. It'll be continuous, and so this is where this is where we go. And then even this, like, we could shrink it down even more. Even imagine putting this battery into the strap, like hide it away. The truth is that everyone working in this space, working in human-machine interfacing, truly doesn't know where the real large use cases are yet. And I'm not even talking about the grip strength yet. Being able to monitor grip strength. We've seen, the idea of hand tracking. Cameras is like the main technology they use to track your hands.
Right. Yep.
Okay, but there's no way of monitoring how you grip things. How much force am I applying to this object? What's very fashionable at the moment is like humanoid robotics. How can you train a robot to use their hands like a human if you're just relying on where each node of your finger is, without knowing how much force is applying to daily objects?
Well, that's the compound element of working on a project like that. We've talked about this before. It's the data that comes with this will be so instrumental to so many different areas.
What we want to do is create a new way of controlling devices. So the way I like to frame it is, when the first computers came out, there was the keyboard, right? And Apple came out with the mouse. And that changed already how we would go around, controlling the computer. And he made it a lot faster. Now, remember when the first time you used a touchscreen? The touchscreen, pushed it even faster, more efficient, with just, a tap and maybe a zoom in and a zoom out. Right. Well, my question here is what is next? The new way would be, a very, very simple way, very intuitive, very, very fast, but also how about a very invisible way? A way that you could control things in your pocket. You could be controlling the lights in your house, with your hands in your pocket. People wouldn't even realise. Or something that's more in fashion right now is AR glasses. How can you control AR glasses without people noticing? And that's what really excites us here.
This is for any designer, inventor, creator. I think the big difference is that to use your waterbed analogy, some people would feel like, okay, it's okay now, it's close enough. But I think it's that continuous obsessive pushing that you've been doing across all these years that have meant that this product, which would probably be banned in planes, is now something that no one would even blink an eye if you're passing TSA. Like it's that kind of development. Another part that I think sometimes gets overlooked, at least from people that aren't in the business, and I consider myself absolutely miles away from all of this. Can you give me a bit of an overview how it's been for you?
Yeah, of course. So when I was at Imperial, I was a student. I did a master's there, and that's where I met my co-founders. But during my master's project, I had a 12-month window to basically pump out. I was put into a lab and asked to leave after 12 months and see what I come out with.
Right.
And near the middle of it, we actually this is where we designed this, and we were getting really, really high quality signals and really, really impressive data. And we were able to win our first grant, which at the time felt like massive to us. It was £80,000, which was like, a ticket. It was like someone taking a bet on you and really giving you the tools to, hey, you can go buy the equipment to really push us forward. And that at the time was a massive win. Snowballed, and we won more and more grants, and we eventually raised private money. And this is a real project where it's research translation. We are Fether Labs, we're still a laboratory. And if we went from an academic lab to a private lab, and now we're trying to work with companies to distribute this, to hopefully get to 1 billion users one day. The first stage is engaging with early adopters and encouraging early adopters to find use cases that they want to build for, and giving them a platform to create custom gestures and work on grip strength and see how it applies, and giving them all the tools they need to really go deep and encourage them to build. But the second stage really is, how do you, on the flip side, how do you help companies integrate this new technology into their products? If the last chapter is building a technology that can scale for 1 billion users, realistically, it's not by selling 1 billion wristbands. It's by helping people integrate this new, really powerful technology into their products.
It's also, ultimately, it might also be completely out of your control, which is the weird... how do you feel about that? How do you feel about a product that you've developed on where you have no particular set expectation, but then, let's say in 10 years' time, this is the ultimate tool for industrial application, and this is the number one, and this is what it focuses on?
So, smartwatches, when they first came out, people thought they were going to replace the phone. Right? They were like, this is going to be the next thing. We're not going to have phones anymore. We're going to have this watch, and we're going to do phone calls with it, and we're going to do all these things. And the truth is that never happened. But it doesn't mean it was not successful. It found its use case in sports and health, as well as the miscellaneous timers and just obviously telling the time. But it clearly funneled towards sport, to the culmination of Whoop, where it's it's only about sports performance, right? If you were to listen to all the business advisors, they're like, you need to find out use case. But I'm actually kind of going against that. It's like, actually, let's just put it in the hands of people who want it, and for whatever they want, and build a platform for them to use it and to build what they want, and really act as a platform technology. We're a sensor company who builds algorithms and the bands, obviously, but we're not going to force use cases on people. We want people to discover. I think the technology has, because you can create your own gestures, you can monitor grip strength. Think about the sports use cases. Think about the healthcare use cases. Rehabilitation. Think about controlling your lights in your house, controlling AR glasses, controlling in your car.
At the end of this, or once you've hit a milestone, you want to get yourself a watch. I'm wondering, now that you've been so obsessed with creating a wristband, do you even want to buy a watch anymore?
No, I love looking at watches. I always look at watches, and obviously budget constraint. And the thing is, also I have a very addictive personality, so I know as soon as I start buying more, it's just going to snowball. I do have watches. I like the fun ones from Mr. Jones. The
M1, the blue
M1, yeah, I really like that one. I really want one of those, but I'm trying to find a good milestone to get it in. But also, I for some reason I like the tank as well. I don't know why.
The tank is relatively similar to the bracelet in the sense that it is a completely universal design. It is worn by men, women. It is worn by bodybuilders, and it is worn by skinny models.
Yeah, it's like it's this whole thing of neutrality. It's also the granddad's watch. There's also the fashionable Paris. You could see it on Paris Fashion Week.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's a watch for everyone. It's like one of those first luxury watches that you would probably start looking at. That line of like $2,000 is probably when it starts going into real luxury. You know, I really like that neutrality, and like you could wear it with a suit, probably wear it with a t-shirt. You know, you could wear it. You know, it's just very, very neutral and, you know, very, very versatile, but stylish at the same time. It's not like one of those military watches where it's like rugged. You know, it is a rugged watch. Whereas like Tank has a lot more femininity to it. It's like a lot more elegant. I like that one. And then if, you know, money was not a thing.
Give it to me, Jack. What's in your grail? Resonance?
Yeah, the resonance.
Yeah. Actually,
I don't know how much it costs now. It's like $20,000.
Well, it was $20,000 5 years ago. Maybe it's 30 now. But it's ballpark that. I've seen that one in person. We went to a watch convention and we had one of our viewers actually who had a resonance, and I was like, oh my god, I need to go see this.
If you get mugged, it's probably because of your phone. It's like, oh, I'll take that watch on the way out. And you're like, bargain.
Great.
What a day to be a robber. You know?
Take my wallet as well. There's a couple of pounds.
But yeah, like, that's a beautiful watch.
Well, Jack, I want to say thank you so much. This conversation has made me realise actually not only the product point of view and the technology, but also where you want to take this product. And I'm just always super excited. This is one of my favourite parts of the day. Is getting a message from Jack being like, hey, guess what we've just figured out now, just what we've created now.
Yeah.